शिवाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone for the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So we'll continue the fourth canto, chapter 3. So in this particular chapter is entitled Lord Shiva. In this particular chapter, we saw that Daksha Prajapati started the performance of the second sacrifice, and then Sati, and seeing that so many people are going to that particular sacrifice, so Sati also becomes eager to go to that sacrifice. And we saw several verses in which Sati expressed her desire to Lord Shiva to go to that sacrifice. So today we will be seeing the Lord Shiva's response, 15th shloka onwards. So Maitreya Rishi speaks this particular shloka, and from the next shloka, Lord Shiva will speak. Rishiruvacha
Rishiruvacha
Yevam Giritra Priyaya Bibhashita
Evam Giritra Priyaya Vibhashita
Pratyabhyadatta Prahasan Suhrut
Pratyabhya Datta Prahasan Shruhud Priya
Samsmarito Marmabhidakuvagishun
Samsmarito Marma Vidakuvagisun
Yanaga ko Vishwasrajam Samakshataha.
Yanahako Vishwashrajam Samakshataha. Translation. The great sage Maitreya had to say, Lord Shiva, the deliverer of the hill Kailasha, having thus been addressed by his dear wife, replied smilingly, although at the same time he remembered the malicious, heart-piercing speeches delivered by Daksha before the guardians of the universal affairs.
So we see here Maitreya Rishi is speaking. The immediate reaction of Lord Shiva on hearing the verses spoken by Sati. Evam Giritraha. Evam, addressed in this way, Priyaya Abhibhashitaha. Priyaya. Priya refers to the wife of Lord Shiva. Addressed in this way by his wife, Priyaya, Tritiya Vibhakti, Abhibhashitaha. Abhibhashitaha means addressed. Evam Abhibhashitaha Priyaya. Addressed in this way by his wife. What was the first response of Lord Shiva? Shiva Pratyabhyadatta Prahasan. Prahasan Pratyabhyadatta. He replied with a smile in his face. He replied with a smile. Samsmarito Marmabidak Kuvagishun. while samsmarito, while reminding his wife, Suhrat Priyah, what did he remind? Marmabida Kuvagishun, the heart-piercing words spoken by Daksha. The heart-piercing arrows of insults. Marmabida Kuvag means speech. Kuvag means a bad speech. And Kuvag Ishun means the arrows of bad speech. What kind of speech it is? Marmabida. Marmabida means heart-piercing arrows of the insults, the blasphemous words spoken by Daksha. Yan ah ko vishwasrijam samakshatah, which Daksha spoke. Daksha did not speak alone to the Lord Shiva. Vishwasrijam samakshatah, which Daksha spoke in the presence of the Vishwasrija, in the presence of the creators of the universe. So sometimes, like, we have to publicly glorify a person, but privately we may correct a person. But Daksha Prajapati blasphemed Lord Shiva openly in front of the creators, in front of the different Prajapatis, in front of very highly elevated personalities in the universe. So Shiva replied with a smile. This way he reminded his wife of the heart-piercing arrows of insults. So Vishwanath Chakravartipad says that Lord Shiva made his wife remember the arrows of sharp words which pierce the heart. Even the physical arrows, physical weapons, the wounds caused by the physical weapon can be cured in due course of time. But the wounds caused by the heart-piercing words, that is very difficult to get cured even after a long period of time. People remember those words actually. So Lord Shiva indirectly reminded Sati. So one may get the question, how can the sharp words spoken by Daksha, how can they pierce the heart of Shiva? Because Shiva is completely self-satisfied. Shiva is self-satisfied. How can those heart-piercing words actually disturb Lord Shiva? So Vishwanath Chakravartipad, in this commentary, is comparing the position of Krishna and Shiva. Shiva is also self-satisfied. But because Shiva's function is related to Tamoguna, sometimes lamentation, illusion, attachment, and hatred manifest in him, with the supreme powers not visible. Sometimes they manifest with the supreme powers not visible. In the case of Krishna, although Krishna is always self-satisfied, because of having prema, Krishna also shows lamentation, illusion, attachment, and hatred in relation to Yashoda, Baladev, and the gopis, the different devotees. But Krishna shows these emotions because of having prema, not because of being related to Tamoguna. And and when Krishna shows such emotions, lamentation, illusion, attachment, and hatred, so at that time he hides his Aishwarya and he exhibits his Madhurya. And those emotions are exhibited by Krishna not because of being related to Tamoguna, because normally lamentation, illusion, attachment, and hatred, they all arise from Tamoguna. But in the case of Krishna, they arise not from Tamoguna. but because of his love towards the devotees. Because of his love towards the devotees, like the gopis, Yashoda, Baladev. But in the case of Lord Shiva, those moods arise from tamoguna and they are filled with an experience of a shadow grief. Abhasa, shadow means abhasa, dukkha abhasa. But in the case of Krishna, those moods arise from prema and they are filled with an experience of the highest bliss. And prema, since prema is the ultimate essence of the Chit Shakti of the Supreme Lord, and these moods, attachment, illusion, etc., they cannot be restricted by the Lord's being self-satisfied. They cannot be restricted by the Lord's being self-satisfied. Because all these moods, when Krishna exhibits, they arise from the Chit Shakti of the Lord. They don't arise, but in the case of Shiva, these moods arise from Tamoguna and they are filled with an experience of a Dukkha Abhasa. This is what Vishwanath Chakravartipad writes in his purport. And another point he says is that Lord Shiva also, he destroys demons. He performs the service of destruction. And Krishna also, Krishna also destroys different demons. But what is the difference between Krishna destroying the demons and Lord Shiva destroying the demons? When Lord Shiva destroys the demons, that is somewhat related to the Tamoguna. But when Krishna destroys the demons, the main purpose of Krishna destroying the demons is for actually protecting the devotees. And the destruction of the demons occur as a side byproduct. And when Krishna destroys the demons, those demons actually attain mukti. They attain liberation, they get liberated. So Krishna's destroying the demons is completely in Shuddha Sattva. But Lord Shiva destroys the demons, it is somewhat related to the Tamoguna. This is also another point which is explained. In the first canto, second chapter, 23rd shloka. First canto, second chapter, 1 minute. 23rd shloka, Suta Goswami says that Sattvam Rajastamayiti Prakritir Yukta Parama Purusha Yeka Ihasya Datte Stityadaye Hari Virinchi Hareti Samya Shreyamsi Tatra Khalu Sattvatanor Nrinamsyu. So this verse is also quoted by Vishwanath Chakravartipad in the purport. So the one Supreme Purusha, accepting the gunas of Prakriti, Prakritir gunas, which are known as Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. For what purpose? Stityadaye, for creation, maintenance and destruction. The one Supreme Purusha accepting the gunas of Prakriti is also called as Hari Virinchi Hareti Samya. He becomes known as Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. But then the last line is important. Shreyamsi Tatra Khalu Sattvatanur Nrinamsyuhu. Shreyamsi, the best results for the devotees will come from Vishnu, who has a Shuddha Sattva body. Sattva Tanor Nrinamsyuhu. So this verse is an important shloka that the one Supreme Purusha, he accepts Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna for creation, maintenance and annihilation. He becomes known as Vishnu, Brahma and Shiva. But then it is clearly mentioned, Shreyamsi, the best results will come from worshipping Vishnu, who has a Shuddha Sattva body. Sattva Tanornana. So the avatars are of two types. Those avatars which are related to Chit Shakti, and the second, those avatars which are related to the Maya Shakti. So the avatars which are related to the Chit Shakti is the spiritual energy, the Swarupa Shakti. The avatars related to the Chit Shakti, for example, Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, they are to be worshipped. But those avatars which are related to the Maya Shakti, they are Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Among these three, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, Vishnu is to be worshipped to get the highest benefit. And that is explained in the shloka. So the avataras which are related to Chit Shakti, Matsya avatar, Kurma avatar, all these avatars are there. The avatars which are related to Maya Shakti are Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Among these three, Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva, Vishnu is to be worshipped for getting the highest result, according to the shloka. So even though there is only one Adi Purusha in this universe, but for creation, maintenance, and annihilation, the Lord joined with Sattva, Raja, and Tamoguna accepts names such as Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Accepts names such as Brahma and Shiva. Among these forms, Vishnu will bestow the desired results to the devotees. Shreyamsi. Shreyamsi. And that is explained in the shloka. So, although Vishnu is involved with the material Sattva Guna, but he is not at all contaminated by Sattva Guna. Vishnu, when it is mentioned Sattva Tanor, it doesn't mean that Vishnu's body is made of material Sattva Guna. So Vishnu would not take up the body made of material Sattva Guna. Because Sattva Guna has the qualities of revelation and indifference to enjoyment. Vishnu has a body which is made of Shuddha Sattva Guna. So Brahma and Shiva, they accept the bodies of Rajo and Tamo Guna because those gunas eclipse the bliss. So they have bodies composed of gunas, whereas Vishnu's body is not composed of the three gunas. So these points are explained in the commentary to the shloka. So Vishnu is without the gunas, since by being the manifest form of Shuddha Sattva, he accepts proximity to material Sattva Guna. And by that, he carries out the function of protecting the universe. But he does so with no contamination of the qualities of material Sattva Guna. He is Vishnu's form is made of Shuddha Sattva, and he accepts proximity to material Sattva Guna, and he maintains the universe without being contaminated by Sattva Guna. So one cannot say that Vishnu's position as beyond the three gunas is negated by participation in this world, because Vishnu does not possess material Sattva Guna by relationship of contact. Vishnu is situated in Sattva only by being proximity to material Sattva Guna, but actually he is in Shuddha Sattva. So in the position of Brahma is that Brahma is a living entity, and it is explained in the Brahma Samhita, Baswan Yatashma Sakaleshu Nijeshu Teja Swiyam Kiyat Prakatayat Yapitadva Tatra Brahma Yesha Jagadanda Vidanakarta Govinda Madi Purusham Tamagam Bhajam. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who becomes Brahma, the creator of the universe, just as the sun displays a small portion of its powers of heat and light in all the sunstones which represent it. And the position of Shiva is that Shiva is not a Jiva. He is considered to be the Supreme Lord, but associated with the three gunas, associated with the Tamoguna. So, in the case of Vishnu and Shiva, one should not accept Shiva to be identical with Vishnu, nor should one accept Shiva to be completely different from Vishnu. That is the position of Shiva. Neither understand Shiva to be completely identical with Vishnu, nor when we think that Shiva is completely identical with Vishnu, that is an aparadha. And when we think Shiva to be completely different from Vishnu, then that is also aparadha. So Shiva is simultaneously one with Vishnu and also different from Vishnu. So just yesterday, day before yesterday, short yatra in Tamil Nadu, very beautiful places actually. One place went to Vruddachala. Vruddachala, there is a very famous Shiva temple, also visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There are 5 Nandis, 5 Dvajastamba, 5 Gopuram, and there are 5 Rathas. They have a Ratha Yatra in the next month. 5 Rathas, 5 Rathas, everything 5 there. All stories are related to the very ancient times. So it is also it is equivalent to actually Vruddachala is equivalent to Kashi, or it is actually more than Kashi, like there is also the Stala says. When I visited Vruddachala, and then from Vruddachala went to another place called as Sri Mushnam. Very beautiful place actually. Sri Mushnam, there is a deity of Varahadev. Varahadev, and there is a from Varagadev's one eye came a Ashwatha tree and Avla tree, and from another eye came some particular variety of grass and a Pushkarini. The Pushkarini is actually nothing but the sweat of Varahadev. It is formed out of the sweat of Varahadev. In that place, there is equal reverence given to the deity of Varahadev and to that Pushkarini and to that Ashwatha tree. Equal reverence is given to all three. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also visited this place actually. Madhvacharya had stayed there for during the Chaturmas. Very wonderful place, Sri Mushnam. And then another place we visited was Chidambaram. Chidambaram. Chidambaram is a very, very holy place. It was also visited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the South Indian tour. So there is a very famous Shiva temple, and within the same temple, we also have another Vishnu deity, Govindaraja Perumal, one of the Divya Desham. So very, it's like all the devotees of Lord Shiva, Chidambaram is a very important place. Chidambaram, and the worship is of very high standard, is maintained by the Dikshitars of Chidambaram. Dikshitars family lineage since many generations. Even now, I heard that the Dikshitar family they have child marriage. They get married at a very young age. There's a special, I think somebody told that there's a special marriage act under which they actually allow the child marriage for the Dikshitar family. But in that Chidambaram, this one, there is a Shiva deity is there, and then there is a Vishnu deity is there, Govindaraja Perumal. So the story is that once Govindaraja Perumal, that Vishnu, he became little heavy for Adishesha to hold. So Adishesha asked that, I am finding very difficult to hold you. Your weight has increased. What is the reason? So at that time, the Vishnu was seeing the Ananda Tandava Nritya of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is one of the best of the dancers, Nataraja. He performs many types of dances. One type of dance is called as Ananda Tandava. So Lord Vishnu was seeing that dance performed by Lord Shiva for his pleasure. And Lord Vishnu became so ecstatic, and in his ecstasy, his weight increased. And that is why Adisesha was unable to bear that weight. So when Lord Vishnu told this to Adisesha, then Adishesha told that I also want to see that dance, and then so then he also wanted to serve Lord Shiva. He also wanted to see that dance. Then um, this Adisesha was born as the son of another devotee of Lord Shiva, who prayed to have was born as the son of another devotee of Lord Shiva. So Adisesha was born as a Patanjali Rishi. And the Patanjali Rishi is an incarnation of Adisesha, who was born as the son of another devotee of Lord Shiva. So these stories are related to the particular place where Lord Vishnu sees the Ananda Tandava Nritya of Lord Shiva. There are more stories connected to that, but we go in different direction. But when we went there, one of the pujaris was explaining this point. So sometimes people go to one extreme where Lord Shiva, they say Lord Shiva is completely different from Vishnu, independent of Vishnu. That is one extreme. Another extreme is that Lord Shiva is identical with Vishnu. This is another extreme. But both are wrong. Lord Shiva is neither completely identical with Vishnu nor completely different from Vishnu. This is the right Siddhanta. So, Kshiram Yata Dadivikara Vishesha Yoga Sanjayate Nahitata Pratagasti Heto Yashambutam Apitata Samupaiti Karyat Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Lord Govinda, who becomes the form of Shiva, who is said to be non-different from Govinda, but who is also different because of his contact with the transformations of Prakriti, because of his contact with the Tamoguna. Just as a milk becomes yogurt, which can be said to be non-different from its cause, but at the same time acts in a different manner. That is the understanding given. So coming back here, so Lord Shiva simply initially smiled, and so the point here is mentioned that Lord Shiva's heart was pierced by the sharp words spoken by Daksha. If he is self-satisfied, how can his heart be pierced? So there is Lord Shiva is self-satisfied, but there is some contact to the Tamoguna. So therefore, sometimes he exhibits lamentation, illusion in these emotions. Because of being related to Tamoguna. But when Krishna exhibits these emotions arise as part of his Chit Shakti, as part of his Chit Shakti. So, in this way, there is some difference between Krishna and Shiva. When Shiva kills the demons, there is some element of the contact of the Tamoguna. But when Krishna kills the demons, there is no contact with the Tamoguna. It is completely in the Shuddha Sattva platform, because those demons killed by Krishna, they get liberated. They attain Sayujya Mukti, which is not the case in the case of Shiva killing the demons. Yeah, we'll go ahead. So Prabhupada says when Lord Shiva heard from his wife about Daksha, the psychological effect was that he immediately remembered the strong words spoken against him in the assembly, in the presence of the guardians of the universe. So it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, the liberated person is always in mental equilibrium in both the distress and the happiness of this world. Yahas sarvatra vishnehas tattat prapya shubha shubham nabi nandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. So how can Lord Shiva be unhappy? So Vishnu Chakravarti says that Lord Shiva is Atma Rama, but because he is in charge of Tamoguna, he is sometimes affected by the pleasure and pain of the material world. The difference between the pleasure and pain of the material world and that of the spiritual world is that in the spiritual world, the effect is qualitatively absolute. So in the spiritual world, the so-called pain is also always full of bliss. Like Krishna, in the case of Krishna, when Krishna was playing in so many ways, sometimes it appeared that he caused distress to the gopis. But those distress was nothing but a highest bliss. So this is the difference between the material and the spiritual world. In the material world, pain is nothing but bitter poison, and pleasure is nothing but sweet poison. In the spiritual world, pain is nothing but bitter nectar, and pleasure is nothing but sweet nectar, but both are nectar. So because Lord Shiva, although a self-realized person, but because he was in charge of Tamoguna, he felt sorrow. Next shloka. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Tvayoditam Shobhanameva Shobhane
वयोदितं शोभनमेव शोभने
Anahuta Apyabiyanti Bandhushu
अनाहुता अप्यभियन्ति बन्धुषु
Te Yad Anutpadita Dosha Drishtayo
ते यद् अनुत्पादितदोषदृष्टयो
Bali Madena
मनीयसानात्मदेन मन्युना. The great Lord replied, my dear beautiful wife, you have said that one may go to a friend's house without being invited, and this is true, provided such a friend does not find fault with the guest because of bodily identification and therefore become angry towards him.
So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Lord Shiva replied. The word Bhagavan is primarily refers to Krishna, but it also is used for actually addressing or referring to different elevated personalities who have some opulence or other. Like sometimes it is used to refer to Narada, sometimes Maitreya Rishis also, sometimes Brahma, sometimes Shiva. So Tvaya Uditam Shobhanam, whatever you have said is correct. But Anahuta Api Abhiyanti Bandhushu. Uninvited friends go to their friends. Yadi Anutpadita Dosha Drishtayo. So sometimes even when we are not invited, but one can go to the friend's place. So uninvited friends can go to the friend's place, but provided if those friends, Yadi Anutpadita Dosha Drishtayo, if those friends do not see the faults because of anger. Baliyasa Anatmya Madena Manyuna. Because of anger or pride caused by identification of the body, if they don't have a fault finding nature, one can go to the friend's place even when one is uninvited. So here Lord Shiva is saying that I understand that we are not invited, but you can go to the father's place, But your father, Daksha, he has a fault-finding propensity because of his pride, because of the bodily identification. So therefore, Daksha would be angry if you, he would be angry if you go to your place. And he would be mercilessly angry towards you. So Lord Shiva could actually foresee what will happen. So Sati was speaking more on an emotional platform, but Lord Shiva had a farsightedness. Lord Shiva could understand how Sati would be insulted by Daksha. Hmm. And so foreseeing that, he's speaking that. So better don't go. Hmm. So Lord Shiva had personally experienced it previously. Although he is faultless, but Daksha had cursed him in many harsh words. And further Lord Shiva says, Vidya tapo vittava purva yakulaihi. Somebody can repeat. Vidya tapo vittava purva yakulaihi.
विद्या तपोवित्त वपुर वयोकुलहे
Satam gunai shadbira sattametaraihi.
सतां गुणे सद्भिरसत्तमेतरे
Smrutau hatayam vritamana durdrusha.
स्मृतं हतायां धृतमानदुर्दशः
स्तब्धा न पश्यन्ति हि धाम भूयसाम्.
स्तब्धा न पश्यन्ति हि धाम भूयसम्. Translation. Although the six qualities education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for the highly elevated, one who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities.
So, so Lord Shiva says that when a person's discrimination is lost hmm, by the six qualities Vidya, Tapa, Vitta, Vapur, Vaya, Kulai. Knowledge, Tapa, the austerity, Vitta, wealth, Vapu, beautiful body, Vaya, youth, and Kulai, high birth. When all these good qualities, uh, they become faults in the demons. When people become blinded by pride. So when all these six qualities, when they are added with pride, then these good qualities actually become bad qualities. Just like milk is nourishing, but when the milk comes in contact with a drop of poison, the whole thing is the milk is nothing called as nothing but a poison. The milk becomes a poison. Even though poison may be a small quantity, but coming in contact with the poison, the whole thing becomes poison. Similarly, these qualities are good qualities. Vidya, Tapo, Vitta, Papa, Vagir, Kolai. But then, these six qualities become the faults in the demons when people become blinded by pride. Hmm. And so, when these qualities become faults because of being blinded by pride, then such people they become callous and stabda na pashyanti, and they don't actually see the glory of the great souls. They fail to recognize the glory of the great personalities. So Lord Shiva is speaking about Daksha. So Sati is asking a question to Daksha. How is it possible for my father who has wisdom to see faults like a fool? My father is a learned person. how can he actually see faults like a fool? So education and other assets are only causes of problems for the demons. But my father is not a demon. He's a pious personality. So when Sati is asking like that, Lord Shiva says that when the power of discrimination is destroyed by the six qualities, and these persons blinded by pride, which is nourished by knowledge, austerity, wealth, body, age, and birth, thinking that I am learned, I am actually austere. When such people become proud, they don't see the greatness of the great personalities. So how is that the Viveka Buddhi gets destroyed by these qualities? Because of the pride. So the good qualities of these people become faults for the demons. So when we talk about pride and humility, the pride and humility both transform. The pride actually transforms a good quality into a bad quality. Humility may transform a apparently bad quality into a great quality. Both actually, humility and pride transform. Humility, the most transformative quality is humility, and the most transformative quality is also pride, but they transform in opposite ways. So, so here, Lord Shiva is saying that your father, although he's a pious person, but although he has many good qualities, but because of this one particular vice of pride, all the good qualities have become spoiled, and therefore he is not able to see the glory of the great souls. So, till a person becomes humble, one cannot hear transcendental knowledge, because one will always be thinking that he is better than others. Better than others. So, in the 8th canto, Vamanadev told Brahmaji, Janma karma vayo rupa vidyaishwarya dhanadibihi yadyasya na bhavet stambhas tatrayam madanugraha. If a human being is born in an aristocratic family or a higher status of life, if he performs wonderful activities, if he is youthful, and if he has personal beauty, a good education, and a good wealth, but after having all these opulences, but if he is still not proud of his opulences, then it is to be understood that he is a recipient of my very special mercy. He is especially favored with the Supreme Lord. After having all the all the opulences, still if a person is not proud, then that means that person is a recipient of a special mercy. So, as Radhanath Swami Maharaj was mentioning that how the materialistic people in the material consciousness, a person chases the illusion and loses the precious thing. And there are many examples in the history of the world how people chase the illusion and they lose the precious thing. He said there are 4 problems in chasing after the glory and fame which others have in this world. There are Daksha Prajapati was chasing the glory and fame of Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva, he was respected so much because of his devotion and vairagya, transcendental knowledge. Daksha Prajapati was envious of Lord Shiva and he was chasing after the fame and glory of Lord Shiva. So when we chase after the fame and glory of other people, first is that we may never get that if we are not destined for that glory and fame. So there are so many people, billions of people chase after the fame and glory. but hardly one person gets that fame and glory. First is we may not even get that fame and glory. Secondly, we may get that fame and glory, but then the pleasure experienced in that fame and glory, it may be short-lived. It is painfully short-lived. We may lose it. And thirdly, even in that brief period where we enjoy that worldly fame, we make so many enemies because of our attachments to these temporary things. We make many enemies because of the attachment to temporary things. And fourthly, in the desperate attempt to secure these illusory possessions, we lose what we already have. What is that? The precious gift of human form of life. That human form of life is wasted in seeking temporary things instead of seeking the absolute truth. So therefore, the chasing after the illusory fame makes a person most unfortunate. And that is the example of Daksha. Daksha Prajapati was chasing after the fame and glory of Lord Shiva. Or a simple example, a dog actually managed to get a bone. And the dog actually sees his own reflection in the river. And the dog feels that there is another dog with a bone in its mouth. And desiring that illusory bone, the dog actually, which is nothing but the reflection of its own its own image, and the dog tries to actually procure that illusory bone, and in the process the dog loses the bone which it already had. So therefore, often people, they run after the illusory promises of this world. And that is what Krishna says, Urdhva Moolam Adashakam Ashwattam Prahuravyayam. This world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So when we run after the different opulences in this world, which is nothing but the illusory thing, reflection of the original thing. And in an attempt to enjoy these illusory promises, we lose the precious and the rare gift of the human form of life. So therefore, a spiritualist performs his spiritual practices with utmost care and attention. So therefore, one should not trade the precious gift of human form of life for the illusory glory of this world, and instead focus on chanting Hare Krishna with great attention and love. So here Lord Shiva is saying that your father Daksha, because of his pride, all his different other opulences, they have become contaminated, and he is unable to see the glory of the great souls. So therefore, he will actually insult you. He will not show respect to you, and that will be very painful to you. Lord Shiva is giving a forewarning to Sati. Next shloka. So one more thing, just on Prabhupada's purport. So Prabhupada said it may be argued that Daksha was very learned, wealthy and austere. How could he be unnecessarily angry with another? So Prabhupada again highlights the same point. When these opulence are misplaced in a person who is puffed up by all these possessions, they produce a very bad result. Milk is good, but when it is touched by an envious serpent, then it becomes poisonous. So that example is given. And so it is therefore sometimes detrimental for a person advancing in spiritual life to possess such material assets. Therefore, Kunti Devi said that Janmaishwarya Shrutashrebir Yedamana When a person becomes proud of one's high birth, learning, beauty, and wealth, one cannot feelingly utter the holy names of the Lord. One cannot feelingly, because only when we chant the holy names with the feeling, with a helpless state of mind, then by that we attract the heart of Krishna. But when a person is proud of one's opulences, one cannot feelingly chant the holy names. So material exhaustion is an advantage for advancement in Krishna consciousness. Although if one is conscious of his eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, one can utilize one's material assets, such as great learning and beauty, for the service of the Lord. Then such assets become glorious. So in other words, unless a person is Krishna conscious, all these opulences are nothing but the different zeros. But when you add a Krishna element, then it is like adding one before all those zeros, then all those assets become valuable. So unless situated by the side of the Supreme One, zero is always zero. Okay, next shloka. Well, end. नैतादृशाणां स्वजनव्यपेक्षया
Naitadru-
Naita
Yes, yes. नैतादृशानां स्वजनव्यपेक्षया
गृहान् प्रतीयादनवस्थितात्मनाम्
गृहान् प्रतीयादनवस्थितात्मनाम्
येभ्यागतान् वक्रधियाभिचक्षते
ते अभ्यागतान् वक्रधिया विचक्षते
आरोपितभ्रूभिरमर्षणाक्षिभिः
आरोपितभ्रूमिरमर्शनाक्षिभिः. One should not go to anyone's house, even on the consideration of his being a relative or a friend. When the man is disturbed in his mind and looks upon the guest with raised eyebrows and angry eyes.
So here Lord Shiva says that Naitadrishanam swajana vyapekshaya grihan pratiyat anavasthitatmana. One should not go to the houses of persons who have disturbed minds. Anavasthita atmanam. And vakra diyabichaksha, who will look at the guests with a crooked mind, raised eyebrows, and angry glances. Amarshana akshibihi, aropita brubir, while considering them to be relatives. It is important that one should not go to a place where one is not where one is uninvited, and especially when those people will see you with a grudge. So even a father of this nature should be rejected. Takshay Sati's father. One should not go there considering that they are relatives, because if one goes, one should go thinking of them as enemies. So if you go there, you will be looked by your father with a raised eyebrows, with angry glances. So therefore, don't actually go there. There is a Niti Shataka shloka which says that how do we attain divine status? Na dushanti na yachante paranindam na kurvate anahuta na chayanti tenashmanopi devataha. Stones do not hate, they do not beg, they do not defame anyone, and they do not go anywhere uninvited. That is the reason even stones receive divine dignity. So this says that how can a person attain divine dignity? When a person does not hate others, when a person does not beg from others, when one does not defame anyone, and when a person does not go to any place uninvited. By these four ways, a person can attain divine dignity. So Lord Shiva is also speaking the same point here. However low a person may be, but the person is never unkind to the children. Even a tiger is kind to its cubs. But so one may think that since Sati is the daughter of Daksha, however cruel and contaminated Daksha may be, Daksha would receive her properly. But then here it is explained that Anavastita Atmanam. Daksha cannot be trusted because he has a disturbed mind. So tigers are very kind to their cubs. But it is also known that sometimes the tigers eat the very cubs. So similarly, malicious people like Daksha cannot be trusted. He may love his daughters, but sometimes he cannot be trusted. He may be angry towards his daughter also. So therefore, Shiva is advising Sati not to go there. So Shiva is speaking in a very speaking with a great far-sighted vision. What will happen there? So further, what Lord Shiva will speak, and then what Sati decides, and we will see in the next class. Anybody has any questions or comments? In Chidambaram temple, there is a beautiful Mahavishnu is actually seeing the dance of Lord Shiva and Parvati. So there was they had made uh, it was like a competition kind of. Shiva and Parvati were competing with each other. So they had made a particular condition. While dancing, if somebody's ornaments falls in the ground, then that person is defeated. The other person will be the winner. Or while dancing, if a person actually stops dancing suddenly, then that person will also be considered to be defeated. That way, Shiva and Parvati both were actually dancing in front of Vishnu. So then, at one point, what happened? Lord Shiva's earring fell down, but only Lord Shiva noticed and Vishnu noticed. Parvati did not notice. So Vishnu, at that time, he reminded Lord Shiva by showing his Trivikrama form. Trivikrama, the Trivikrama form, that Trivikrama, he lifted one leg is completely on the top and one leg is in the ground. So by using the Trivikrama form, he indicated to Lord Shiva, take that the earring and put it in your actually ear. And Lord Shiva actually exhibited like the same Trivikrama form with one leg. He lifted that earring and then put it in his ear. And Sati could not actually, because in the dance both were actually exhibiting the same pose. But Sati, because she is in the woman's body, she could not, because of being constrained with the woman's body, she could not uh, display that particular portion of the taking the leg on top of this one. And then Sati realized that Lord Shiva actually put the ornament, and then Sati, for a moment, by seeing that form, she actually stopped dancing And then Lord Vishnu declared Lord Shiva as the winner of the dance. So there is a deity of Lord Shiva, which is in the form of a Urdhva Tandava Mudra. Urdhva Tandava Mudra is like one leg is completely vertical, another leg is down, like the Trivikrama form. So there's a beautiful pastime there. So within the one temple complex, there is the Shaivites, they are worshipping Lord Shiva's this one. Another same temple complex, there is Govindaraja deity is being worshipped. One of the Divya Deshans. Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. There are no more questions. I'll end here. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. ग्रंथरा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रील प्रभु